It is that time of the week again. I can't believe it. But anyway, it's my favorite time of the week. Maybe I don't get out enough if this is my favorite time. I don't know. But you also said, I mean, you are quite social, and you said this is also your favorite time of the week.
It's awesome to recap tech, and especially how quick everything is evolving at the moment. Yes. You really have to keep your finger on the pulse to kind of keep up with everything.
Yes, it is actually getting increasingly difficult to keep up with it.
Absolutely. I think I was having a chat with someone about it the other day. I mean, the technological advancements in the last 2 years compared to the 2 years before that, compared to 10 years ago over a 2-year time span, you can't compare it. We're moving very quickly.
Everything is actually, it feels like everything is moving quickly at the moment, and faster. It's almost like there's pressure to just... I think there's a lot of change happening.
Yeah, you got electronic cars, you've got Neuralink, I mean, you got Starlink, I mean, that's satellite internet. You've got new age technology that's being used to discover more about our solar system. You've got new chips that can process and crunch information faster, which is giving you the ability in today's age to have a phone that is more powerful than a computer from 10 years ago. I mean,
it's insane. And also, I mean, if you look at hard drives and storage stuff, like storage devices many years ago, how big it was and how small you even now, like carrying around a flash drive, a USB stick. Look how small they are. Yeah, there's actually one. It's so small. It looks like it's just the USB point and then a little thingy behind it. But it's so small you lose it. You have to keep it on your key ring or something. So I'm like, that's too small. But I mean, that thing stores like 500 gigs or something.
No, it's unreal.
Crazy, man.
The space. I mean, my phone has 500 gigs of storage.
Really?
And it's just a phone.
Yeah.
It's
a lot of storage for a phone.
Well, I mean, an SSD is the size of my phone. You know what I mean? Like,
jeez, man, that's fantastic. But what do you want to start with today here on techPLUS?
Well, in the light of talking obviously about technological advancements and talking about how far we've come and how smartphones have evolved, and it's gone from being something that one person can own a smartphone if you earn enough money to everybody basically has a smartphone, right? And we're talking now about the situation in South Africa in terms of how many people actually have access to the internet and affordable internet. Because it's one thing having access to internet. If you're talking prepaid mobile data, paying 120 Rand, for a couple gigs, 300 Rand for 2 to 5 gigs on a prepaid mobile data plan versus paying 129 Rand a month for uncapped 4 megasecond internet to your home. It's a big gap between who has access to internet and who actually has access to internet that's affordable. So what South Africa has done now is they've said that by 2030 every South African should have access to affordable broadband at home, offering speeds of at least 10 megs a second and generous amounts of data, at least 10 gigabytes by March 2024 and at least 50 gigabytes by 2026. That's one of the objectives that was set out in the newly published National Infrastructure Plan, or NIP, 2050, which was gazetted on Friday the 11th of March. In the NRP document, the government has outlined a vision for a seamless digital infrastructure, and the document published by the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure highlights what government wants to achieve in ICT and other sectors by the end of the decade. And it's very important to actually have access to internet, because it does more than just provide someone with the ability to watch YouTube. That's just one aspect. Another aspect is when you consider how many people need to move physically to a government building to do something like get their ID, right? Or apply for a driver's license test, or any of the various things that has to be done directly in person, physically. And if you're able to do that online and everyone has access to online, you create less congestion in these areas. And that's just another example. Then above and beyond that, you have revenue, the ability to actually make an income online, do something, work for people that aren't in your city, in your town.
Exactly.
Because you're limited. If you have to work somewhere that's 50 kilometers away, it's doable. But 500 kilometers away, and you have to work every day 8 to 5, you'll never survive.
No, but even the
impossible.
50k is too much now with the petrol price going up again.
You know, the move to digital internet available for everyone is very important.
Did you see that the petrol price is actually going up in the first week of April by 2 rand something,
It's
as it stands
unbelievable.
right now?
It's unbelievable.
How much are we going to pay per litre? It's
I'm
crazy.
just going to start pushing my car. I'm just not even going to...
I'm going to get a donkey cart and just go back like in the old times. You know?
It's going to be like people with the best and the highest paying jobs also get, you know, their petrol covered.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be the big boy job, you know.
But they worried about the supply of petrol, you know, due to the war and the oil thing in Russia. And they say that there could actually be like petrol shedding soon, where you're only allowed 50 litres per top-up or something.
I think people who are also really worrying is someone like Eskom, who's burning like $9 million worth of diesel a day,
It's
during
a
load shedding.
vicious cycle.
It is.
Hey, but there's been no load shedding yet.
There hasn't. No, they called it off, but I won't speak anything more about that L word until I have at least 1 week of straight electricity.
Yeah,
you
so
know?
far so good.
My geyser stays warm constantly. We can start using the L word again. But on that note, we spoke about petrol's expensive.
Yeah.
So never before has it been a good idea to get an electric car, especially in South Africa, because the very little infrastructure to charge the car.
Yeah.
I think the first electric car, and we'll talk about it now, the first electric car I think was released in 2013, and I think it had a 185 kilometer range.
Yeah.
You know, and you're in South Africa, how do you charge it?
Yeah.
So ultimately, with petrol prices going up and with infrastructure improving for electronic vehicle charging, we can take a look at what are the electric cars that are available in South Africa. Like, which ones can you actually drive or buy right now? And there's even some of these cars on the list that I've seen in Eisner.
What?
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
way. Where?
I'm going to tell you about it now. It's actually quite a funny story. So, South Africans now have a wide range of electric vehicles to choose from, with prices ranging from about 700,000 Rand a vehicle up to 4.1 million Rand a vehicle. Despite a radical global shift to electric cars among the world's biggest manufacturers, adoption in South Africa has obviously been slow. Europe is expediting the process to become completely combustion non-dependent in terms of vehicles. So data from Green Cape's Electric Vehicles Market Intelligence Report showed that only 545 battery electric models were sold in South Africa between 2013 and 2019, compared to about 2.75 million petrol and diesel cars that were sold during the same time frame. One of the biggest reasons for this is the high import tax that car makers have to pay to bring them into the country, adding a substantial premium to the showroom price tag. That's one thing that I've heard that is pretty consistent between everyone I've spoken to that lives outside of South Africa. Cars in South Africa are so expensive. My friend who was living in America, I think he picked up a BMW X5 for 80,000 Rand. In America.
What?
Second hand. But the second hand market there is different.
Yeah, very.
You know, then you come here and, you know, he buys a car for 180,000 Rand and it is 1/5 of the car.
Exactly.
You know, it's 1/5 of a BMW. It's just like a little get around car. The car prices in South Africa are very expensive. But here are the electric cars that are available in South Africa for you to purchase. You have Audi e-tron, which are the Audi vehicle range. You got about 488 kilometer range on the e-tron GT, and you got fast charging speed as well. You have the BMW i3, which goes between 745,000 Rand and 914,000 Rand. You got the BMW iX, 1.6 and 2.2 million Rand for that car. The Mini Cooper SE, right? This is the car I saw in Knysna.
Really?
Its price is about 709,000 Rand. It's got about 215 kilometer range. But in actuality, I saw this car. It looks like a Mini
Looks
Cooper.
familiar, yeah.
But very like, it looks quite kitted out. You'll
How would
notice
you know the difference?
the rims. Without
Okay.
a doubt. You see the rims and they're not traditional rims at all.
And
it's
also,
like-
do you see like a plug on the side for the electric thing, or
No.
does it look like a petrol
just
thing?
like a petrol thing. I didn't because my brother was buying a Mini, so I was happening to be walking through town and I saw a Mini.
Yeah.
So it was bright sunlight, so I took a photo of it, But try to be quick. And I had the feeling he might see me take a photo of it, but I didn't mind. I took a photo anyway, sent it over to my brother and had a look at it. He was staring directly at me. He obviously saw me taking a picture of his car.
Hey.
So now that's really sank in. But I see this car quite frequently, and it's one of the cheaper of the cars for sure. You got your Jaguar I-Pace, 2 million rand, range of 470 kilometers. Then you get fancy. You got your Porsche Taycan or Taycan, 2.3 million to 4.1 million, and your Volvo XC, 1.2 million. Those are the cars that you can currently buy in South Africa that are electric vehicles. It's pretty exciting.
They don't come cheap.
No, it really doesn't, but they do compete with mid to high end cars. That's the thing. Like but the 4 million rand car, I mean, that's just like supercar area. That's for the very wealthy. We need to find a car that fits into the 350 to 700,000 rand range. That's the missing piece of the available models in South Africa in terms of price comparison. But it would be quite interesting to see how many of these cars are purchased compared to 525 cars between 2013 and 2019. But there is an option out there for people who don't want to see this rising petrol price. There is an option.
Yeah.
It's just if the L word comes back and you have
You've got a problem.
2.5 hours of no electricity.
Because imagine now you get an electric car, but you don't have a generator. Now you have to invest in a generator as well. Is that even going to help charging your car?
I don't know if it'll output enough, but at the end of the day, you're going to buy an electric car to avoid a petrol car and end up putting petrol in your generator to charge your electric car.
Exactly. Oh man, that's just. I would feel so defeated if that happened to me.
I'd really like a product. I think Tesla has one. It's a solar product where it generates power by solar, and you can use that to charge your car.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Those solutions here would I think would fit in very well. And then just before we go on our music break, here's something interesting. So we know about Russia and Ukraine. We've spoken about it 2-3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
And there was a video that surfaced out of one of the teams on the International Space Station, and Russia has come out to confirm now that Russia says it will not strand American astronaut in space despite media reports. So it was believed that Russia might strand an astronaut out in space.
Oh, imagine.
But how this came to be is someone created a video and edited it to make it look like they're not going to allow this American to come back to America or for the International Space Station. So last week, basically, a flurry of these news reports claimed that Russia was threatening to strand an American astronaut on the International Space Station in direct response to sanctions placed on the country as it continues to invade the neighboring Ukraine. But Russian State Space Corporation is trying to put those fears to rest, saying that it will bring home the astronaut as planned. The NASA astronaut in question is Mark Vande Hei, who has been living on the International Space Station since April 2021.
Oof.
Right? Imagine living on an international space station.
So basically almost a year now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that actually will mark. He originally was going to stay for 6 months, but it was extended to a year.
Oh my word.
And when he returns on the Soyuz capsule on the 30th of March, he'll have the record for the longest continuous space flight by an American astronaut at around 353 days.
Sure.
In space. So everything you've done over the last year, just imagine you were confined to a small space, in space, orbiting the Earth for a year.
No, I don't want to, Kaine.
You're going to get back to Earth and you're not going to know what's going on because you weigh so flippin' much.
Yeah. Yo, but listen, I mean, if you eventually come back to Earth, I think you're going to feel so strange because your body adapts to life up there.
Yes.
And now you get used to it, you're accustomed. But I mean, you're coming back and now there's gravity again and all that kind of stuff. I think you're going to feel so weird. I mean, you just go onto a ship.
Yeah.
And then you walk on land again. You know that feeling you get? Like water legs?
Yes.
Now imagine if you come back from space after a year. what it feel like.
And there's also reports that, you know, spending a large amount of extended time in space can do things to your bones because your body constantly adapts. So it feels like it doesn't need to have all this strength in your bones and things like that in order to operate, so it becomes weaker, or the amount of stress that is exerted on our body maintains a strong skeleton. So when you come back, you've got to deal with all these
you're gonna have some problems,
these adaptations that your body's made in order to survive. I mean, your body's actually really crazy. Put your hand in water for 20 minutes.
Like a raisin.
And it'll go like a raisin.
Yeah.
But it doesn't do that because your skin can't deal with water well. It does that so you can adapt to being in water and still feel things and all that sort of stuff. And have a grip. Now that's crazy. Now imagine what a year in space does.
Remember when we were kids and we were in the bath? And then you got out and you were in there for too long and you would look at your raisin hands.
That would always happen to me at the beach. I'd come out. Just be one big dried raisin.
Yeah.
Basically.
Listen, I don't know, just before we go to music, did you see Elon Musk actually challenged Vladimir Putin?
Oh, no, what happened?
He wrote on Twitter, you know, Elon likes being controversial with whatever's happening in the world. And he wrote, I hereby challenge Vladimir Putin to single combat. Of Putin's name, he wrote it out in Russian, actually. And he said, the stakes are Ukraine. So I wonder if he was serious or if he was just kind of...
So he wants to go on one-on-one combat?
Apparently, yes. And he wrote it in Russian.
Well, how's that going to work? Are they allowed weapons? What are the terms of the agreement?
Exactly.
Because Putin could just send a young missile and call it quits.
Yeah,
or Elon could just pull out his futuristic, you know, whatever.
And start firing from his satellites.
Yeah, just a Starlink satellite lands on him. You don't know.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Anyway, what have you got for us when we come back?
When we come back, we've got a few things. So we're talking about NFTs that might be launching on Instagram soon. Twitter was the first. Instagram's following, just like they always do. Ireland has fined Meta quite a large amount of money. We'll talk about that. And there is lunar scientists and engineers who are designing a moon cave explorer.
It is techPLUS. If you just joined us, hello to you and welcome. We are busy talking about this week's biggest tech stories, and I'm still Eon, and opposite me in our nice studio is still Kaine. Kaine, how's it going with your fiber? Because last week we spoke about your fiber. You finally got fiber, which I'm so jealous about.
Yeah, so I had fiber a few years ago when I was living in a different house. And obviously I moved into a complex, and in the complex, you know, if you're going to install fiber to one house, you have to install it to most of them.
And there's the bloody body corporate.
Yeah, so it takes time, you know, and it's about 6 months in the making. But I must say, I forgot how great it was to have fiber. It truly went into the void of my mind and never came back until I started using my fiber now. It's a massive difference.
It's a new world.
It's just having that constant connection, which is fast. I mean, when I was growing up, I always wanted to do live streaming of games and things like that, become a streamer. And to do that, they recommended having an upload speed between 2.5 and 3.5 megs a second to sustain that stream. And on my ADSL line, I had 4 megs down and 0.35 up.
No!
And no matter how...
Was that your upload? Oh my word.
No matter how I crunched that number, I couldn't
upload,
achieve
you can
that.
barely upload an image with that.
No, it's terribly slow. It would take sometimes 6 hours to upload a 600 meg YouTube video. Because I used to do YouTube
how did you even do that? Where did you get the patience?
When there's no other option... You just frustratedly patient.
Just gotta work with it.
Yeah, you learn to work with it.
Yeah.
But now, when I'm doing work and things like that, I think back to that time where everything was slower and more difficult to do, and you had constraints. So no one because I have 100 megs down, 50 megs up. No one needs.
Stop bragging.
Yeah, you don't need that. But when it's needed, the occasional time that it is needed, it comes greatly appreciated to have that speed, and also the clarity when you're having conference calls and things like that.
Oh yeah.
The fact that you're never the guy who's
Who's buffering and breaking up,
causing a problem.
You know for sure it's not you.
Exactly. So
the only bad thing is if there's a cable break, which it does happen with fiber sometimes.
Yes.
There's a fiber break, and then they still have to go and find it.
But then I have 2 internet backups.
Wow.
With a third that I can activate. I don't like running
nice.
It sounds crazy, but it's not worth, when you're working online, 4 hours of no internet a day is 4 hours of working time.
Have you tested it for gaming?
Yes.
And?
It's exceptionally good.
Gosh. It's a gamer's dream, man.
Yeah, if we're getting to the specifics of it, when you run on an LTE connection, you'll probably get about 230 ms to a European server.
Is that the ping?
Yeah. So 230 milliseconds, 1,000 milliseconds in a second. So you're talking about a fifth of a second from information to go from your computer to the server and back to your computer. And now at the moment it's about 160.
Which is good.
Yeah. 160 ms, and if you're connecting to like a Singapore server or a Bahrain server, you can get about 120, 140. And it makes all the difference because people think, oh man, it's just a hundredth of a second, it isn't a lot. But when if you're a professional gamer, and I'm not, but if you were, they tested pro esports gamers' reaction time.
Yeah.
And they reacted in 140 milliseconds.
Sure.
So if you have 140 millisecond ping, it takes you as long as it takes them to react, just for you to start reacting.
You see, so how are you going to win then?
So if you happen to have, let's say, 140 millisecond like a programmer, and you've got a 200 millisecond line, it takes you 340 to 400 milliseconds, which is almost half a second to react. Whereas it takes them a tenth of a second. It's a big difference.
Wow, okay.
It's a big difference.
Geez, so congratulations. Can I come and land at your place?
No, I was very happy with that. So let's get into the first story. NFTs coming to Instagram. And it's funny, I always laugh because TikTok comes out and then Instagram comes out with something. Instagram comes out with short form videos. And then when Snapchat was there and they had the stories, Instagram comes out with stories. And then Twitter enables NFTs as profile pictures, and here's Instagram coming in with some NFTs.
Interesting.
So this is something from Mark Zuckerberg. So Mark Zuckerberg said that Meta would be added to NFTs to Instagram. So saying that Meta would add basically NFTs to Instagram, according to Engadget and the Daily Beast. While he didn't describe exactly what that would look like, he said during a session at South by Southwest that over the next several months, the ability to bring some of your NFTs in, hopefully over time being able to mint things within the environment. There have been ramblings that this was coming. Last year, Instagram-led Adam Missouri said the team was actively exploring NFTs but didn't have any actual announcements. But in January, we heard a report that teams at Facebook and Instagram were working on NFT integrations. The report mentioned that there was progress on features to let you use an NFT as a profile and mint NFTs on the platform, and discussions around creating an NFT marketplace. An NFT marketplace would be very attractive to someone like Instagram when you look at the multi-million or multi-billion dollar competitors which are NFT marketplaces like OpenSea. The first two features gel well with what Zuckerberg mentioned on stage, but it's still not clear what minting an NFT on Instagram would mean. Would you be able to sell a popular post as an NFT, or mint NFTs that act as passes to let people see specific stories, or even turning your Instagram post into an NFT? Meta isn't saying anything yet, though it does seem that minting capabilities won't be coming until further down the line. The idea for a marketplace seems like it could be even further off, as it seemingly didn't get a direct reference from Zuckerberg. But ultimately, people might ask, well, what's the point of being able to show your NFTs on Instagram? Well, when you have an NFT that costs $5 million, you want to put it on your profile. It's like having a piece of jewelry.
Yeah, you got to show
Except with an NFT, before this, you would have to go onto your computer and take a screenshot and share it on an Instagram post. It doesn't work. But being able to show what NFTs you own is like a bragging right. Then on the other side of the coin, if you're able to mint NFTs, well, you could upload your art to Instagram and have an NFT, right? And that NFT has value. So there's many ways that they can move forward with like NFT integration. But ultimately, the one that they're talking about now, which is being able to have a profile picture with some NFT information on if you have an NFT, that is just a bragging right at this point. It's a glorified bragging right. It's the ability for you to say, I own this much money's worth of digital art. Yeah, it's a bragging right. Same as with Twitter. You can only put an NFT as your profile picture on Twitter if you're a verified user. But ultimately, you can do it. So it's interesting to see Instagram coming out with it. I have no idea how they will roll it out, but very intriguing.
There is a Twitter, eh?
A Twitter.
Yeah. I won't say what's on it. But anyway, did you see, you're talking about Instagram now, did you see who was banned from Instagram this week?
Oh my word.
Mr. Kanye West.
Kanye West.
Or as he likes to call himself, Yay West. Or yay, just yay. Listen, this man's got so many issues. The latest one was where he was in a conversation with the guy who's going out with his ex-wife now, Kim Kardashian, and he said, Pete wrote to him and said, I'm in bed with your wife, and all that kind of stuff. And then he was just lashing out at him, and I see that Kanye even attacked good old Trevor Noah.
Really?
Yes. So they also had an exchange, and I think what's happening here is Kanye West is having a meltdown, a public meltdown mentally, and I don't know if Instagram did it to protect him, maybe, or his fans, or his loved ones, but they actually suspended his account. So I don't know if he's going to go on to Twitter now. Or I wouldn't be surprised if he also starts, like Donald Trump, his own social network. Yeah, call it Yay or something. Yay.
I don't understand what did he do that caused the ban? Did he
was just lashing out at people, and posting stuff, and
so just breaking Instagram's privacy
policies. Yeah, he was just lashing out at people, and just going mad.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Poor Kanye, but that guy's, I don't know what he's going through.
No, he's going through a very bad time.
Yeah, he was like so popular back then. You know, Kanye West, everybody was talking about it. And
he's having a major meltdown. But it doesn't help that the new guy who's dating your ex-wife is sending photos from the bedroom.
Yeah, no. But it's all
just
to
provoking
him,
him.
You know, and it creates media attention, and now he's getting more popular.
You're right.
It's a cutthroat industry, to say
you
the least.
Got to sometimes wonder if it's not all orchestrated, if there's not a plan behind it.
Absolutely.
Come on.
And speaking of Instagram, or at least Meta, you know, the owners of Instagram, Ireland has now fined Meta for bad record keeping. The 2018 data breaches affected up to 30 million Facebook users. So in 2018, Ireland's Data Protection Commission, or DPC, was alarmed when Facebook notified the commission between June and December of 12 separate data breaches that affected up to 30 million users. The DPC began to investigate, and now Meta, Facebook's parent company, has been fined 17 million euros. For the data breaches. The DPC concluded from its investigation into the breaches that Meta violated Europe's General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR. According to its press release, the DPC identified the 12 data breaches notifications that occurred between June and December. As a result of its injury, the DPC found that Meta platforms failed to have in place appropriate technical and organizational measures which would enable it to readily demonstrate the security measures that it implemented in practice to protect EU users' data. In a statement to TechCrunch, a Meta spokesperson objected to any categorization of this fine being related to the breaches themselves. They said the fine is about record-keeping practices from 2018 that we have since updated, not a failure to protect people's information. We take our obligations under the GDPR very seriously, and we will carefully consider this decision as our process continues to evolve. Ireland's initial draft decision was objected by two authorities, and however, it did not disclose who those authorities were and whether there were objections actually affected the DPC's ultimate decision. So yeah, that's that. You know, you create a product, that product gets used by millions of people, and then you're in charge of making sure those millions of people's data is protected, even though they don't pay you a subscription fee.
Yeah.
Even though, you know, all this stuff happens, you're responsible for that data, and if you leak that data, you will be held accountable. So I think that just highlights some of the strict parameters in which some of these big companies have to play within in order to be regulated, in order to not be fined millions. But the reality is, if you do not protect EU user data correctly, you're liable to a fine that is a maximum of 4% of your annual revenue.
Oh dear.
And the amount that Meta was fined was nowhere close to that maximum 4%. So they kind of got let off easy. Even though the number's high, they actually got let off pretty easy. But it is not the first company suing Meta. There's like...
Of course not. There's going to be many more. Yeah.
And there's many more
There's
coming.
There's going to be many more. But now you're talking about Meta. Did you see the new... just before we go to some music, did you see the new features coming to WhatsApp?
No.
Yeah, it's rolling out slowly but surely on the Meta platforms, WhatsApp, for example. At the moment, it's available for the beta users on the Android program. The first new addition is a new blur tool for the in-app drawing editor. So that will allow you to alter images with sketches to highlight or hide certain parts. It's like it's built into that editor. Where
it's like a blur tool.
Yeah,
so if you have your car picture, you can take the number plate away.
Number plate away, yes, exactly. So that makes you distort parts of image or maybe a phone number or any other personal info. That's slowly but surely rolling out, and obviously the beta people will see it first.
Yeah.
And then the second new feature is the ability to keep specific messages if you have the disappearing messages setting turned on. Have you used that disappearing messages thing?
No.
I don't even know what it does.
Not even once.
What does it do?
I don't know. I think I used it once just to play around with it, and I sent an image that could only be viewed once. But I felt like it could be viewed multiple times. I don't know what happened.
But remember what we also said. You open that image once, take a screenshot, and then they must make it that you can't take a screenshot during that time when the image opens on your phone.
Yeah, it shouldn't be possible.
Otherwise, what's the purpose?
No, there's no purpose. But even then, let's say they do stop you from being able to take a screenshot, then you just pull out your phone and take a picture of it. So like,
there's no way. Oh gosh, okay. Anyway, here's some music. The Weeknd, Less Than Zero. Yes, it's back to techPLUS. Hello to you if you just joined us. Remember, if you want to get in touch, be interactive. Let us know what you wanted us to talk about, maybe, or maybe you have a question. 081 060 1640. That's WhatsApp, not call. 081 060 1640. If there's something in the tech scene that you want us to talk about, then send us a WhatsApp. You are very welcome. Kaine, what you got for us next?
Netflix has played the DSTV card.
That's not good.
No, you don't want to follow in their footsteps.
No.
Netflix will start charging some customers more to share their accounts with people who aren't in the same household, or in an effort to crack down on unauthorized password exchanges. The streaming giant is testing the feature in 3 markets: Chile, Costa Rica, and Peru. Subscribers with premium and standard plans will be able to add up to 2 additional users in other locations. The company said Wednesday in a blog post the additional fees will vary by country. Costa Ricans will pay $3 more per month, which is about 50 Rand more, which is quite a lot considering your Netflix subscription is 160 Rand. You know? Now you're paying 206 Rand. And the idea is that Netflix feels they're losing revenue.
They've got so much money already.
I know.
But Kaine, I am allowed as a Netflix subscriber to share my password with 2 or 3 other people. That's why the profile option is there at the beginning. Why else is there a profile option?
But it's supposed to be only in the same household, which is incredibly difficult
nonsense.
to implement.
What if your sister or your brother's living elsewhere?
Yeah.
You're still family.
Or what happens if you buy a Netflix account, you get a Netflix subscription, premium, it's great. It's you, your mom, and your brother in a house. Each person has their own profile. Now your brother goes off to live in Cape Town.
Yeah, now he can't log in
you're not allowed to use the Netflix account.
No, that's
account.
nonsense, man. It's nonsense.
Like,
do they want our IDs to prove that we're family or what? Well, your friends. I know friends who can't afford Netflix, and I give them the password.
Yeah.
Or I did it once.
But as long as you have profiles, why does it matter?
Why give us the profile option then?
Yeah.
No, man, you know what? Once again, greed.
I'm going to change my usernames on all my profiles. I'll say household 1, household 2, household 3.
Hey, Hey, that's clever.
Big
actually.
brain.
Well done.
Yeah. So
big brain.
Netflix what Netflix is they're saying Netflix is making it easy for subscribers to transition a new member to the plan, keeping in place their account profile, viewing history, and personalized recommendations. So that the technology that they're implementing is giving you the ability to say, okay, my son can now have a Netflix account. He has his own logins, but I control the account.
Yeah.
I can see the account there for an additional $3 per account, right? So as an alternative to you giving your password so someone can log in from another location. But it's so difficult to control, and it's really not worthwhile doing, because how much, for Netflix, I think they should be more focused on how many people can watch at one given time.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
Yes.
Because
they've already got those restrictions in place. The lower packages, you can't have more than one person watching at the same time.
Exactly. So what are they trying to avoid? They're trying to do is stop people from sharing accounts, so that even though one person might watch 2 hours a day, they pay for a full Netflix subscription. And it is a great way for them to increase their revenue, and it's not like they're just putting this harsh policy in place that if you're found to be guilty of sharing your password with people that log in from other locations, you will be restricted, or that IP will be blocked from the account, or whatever. They're at least saying that there's a way for you to actually achieve that if they want to roll out with this policy that you're not allowed to do this. Does the policy make sense? No. I wish they would have just done one Google search for DSTV doing the same thing and see the negativity.
How not to do it, yeah.
But look at the places they're rolling it out in as well. Chile, Costa Rica, and Peru.
Yeah.
These are all places that are probably sharing a lot of passwords between each other.
Yeah.
You've got big families.
You're right.
Big families. Probably 10, 15 strong, all with one Netflix account.
Yeah.
Right? And one person's watching, the other person kicks the other person off because now they're the third person watching,
Yeah.
I think that's where they're targeting, but it'll be interesting to see. They said it's because they're not making enough to create the content that they need to create in order to sustain the business model.
No, I don't think that's true.
We did some math the other day in terms of how much they make. It's like 131 billion a month or something like that. It's like a crazy amount of money.
That's greed, I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's greed.
Greed is a big problem at the moment.
Absolutely. So that's what Netflix is up to. And then we also spoke about these lunar scientists and engineers who are designing a solution to being able to explore caves on the moon.
Sure.
Caves on the moon. So whilst the moon's barren surface has been well documented by orbital spacecraft, subsurface cavities remain a mystery but could be vital in our future exploration of the moon. Not only could they provide shelter for human visitors, shielding astronauts from radiation and micrometeorites, they may also provide access to icy water and other resources trapped underground. Lunar caves are not only a geologically pristine record of the moon's history, but they could also provide a safe home for future human explorers. Building upon ESA's Discovery OSIP call and Cisnova's challenge, ESA gathered a spectrum of more than 60 experts in many different areas of science and engineering to design a mission to enter a pit on the moon's surface and explore the entrance to a lunar cave.
Sure.
A cave on the moon. And you would think, well, is it one big cave? Is there many caves? Well, the moon is dotted with pits that scientists think could lead to huge underground tunnels. But a space mission has never been sent to explore what could lie within. A view of the interior of a lunar cave would be a true exploration. It would reveal unexpected scientific information, says Francesco Sauro, cave scientist and planetary lava tube expert. They basically ran a competition for everybody to submit ideas for how they would enter this cave and what needs to be done, and ultimately they've set a goal of getting to one of these caves and exploring it in the next 10 years. And the technology they're going to be using for it is what's going to be developed right now. There's even a video of it here of what it would look like to deliver something into a Mars cave, and it kind of reminds me of like a fire truck's ladder.
Yes,
you know?
what do you
The
call it?
way-
A cherry picker.
Yeah, the way it
But
goes.
a very
up.
long one. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, that's beautiful.
And then it drops
actually.
the drone into the cavity on the moon, and that allows them to do some exploration. What they could find is interesting. What they might find is also very interesting. You know, what they would potentially find frozen water. They could potentially find organisms that might pertain to some degree of life. You don't know what's inside a cave. Oxygen could be trapped within the tunnels of the cave, which could lead to some degree of life.
Would you live on the moon?
In a cave.
Yes.
I would live on a moon in the cave before I live on the moon on the surface.
Yeah.
Because on the surface, you get beaten by radiation. And in a
Yeah.
cave, radiation has a hard time penetrating rock.
Would you still live there?
On the moon?
Yes.
No. I would visit.
The man on the moon.
I'll
Yeah.
do a young
Just-
expedition.
Just go and visit the man on the moon.
See if he's caught anything yet.
Yeah, did your parents also, when you were like a kid, did they also always tell you that there's a man on the moon?
Yeah.
Really? Do you remember? And then, like, my dad would say, like, he would point up and then he would just say, like, you would see the dots and then he would say, look, no, there's the man on the moon. He's standing there. And I totally, of course, believed it.
It's like he's there. Wow.
Yeah,
But
I
that
really
would be a
believed
big
it.
person if you could see it from
Yeah,
here.
exactly. But I thought, like, basically, I thought this guy who lives on the moon was kind of looking after it like a lighthouse, you know. So at night he would switch it on and all that stuff.
Do you remember Disney
I miss it.
used to have that guy who was fishing off the moon?
Yes.
It was like a crescent moon, and he
That's
was
right. Yes, that's right.
what my mind connected when I heard the Man on
Oh.
the Moon song. I was like, there's some guy on the moon fishing. I was young,
he's
I was
fishing.
5. You got to give me a break. But that was what I firmly believed.
Hey, those were the good days when we still lived in our imaginations. Now we're paying bills.
Now we pay bills.
I want to go back.
Yeah, everyone.
I'm tired of adulting. I can't adult anymore.
So now do you want to hear something a bit more hectic?
Yes.
Tesla's fired an employee
Oops.
who reviewed its driver assist on YouTube.
Oh dear.
So it's a guy who makes YouTube videos who works for Tesla that went out and tested one of the driving assists.
So that would obviously go against his non-disclosure in his contract.
Yes. So John Bernal shared clips of close calls and crashes on his channel AI Addict. So that's his YouTube channel. You can go see it. It's called AI Addict. Tesla has a complicated relationship with customers who pay to test the beta version of its self-driving software. Often these people are die-hard fans keen to promote the company's prowess and show off its new driver assist features. Sometimes, though, they overshare, posting videos that show exactly when and how Tesla's software gets it wrong. When the person sharing these clips also works for Tesla, things are even more complicated. John Bernal, a former Tesla employee who reviewed the company's FSD beta software on his YouTube channel, says he was fired by the company last month after posting a video that showed his Tesla hitting a bollard. As reported by CNBC, Bernal says that prior to his dismissal, he was told verbally by his managers that he broke Tesla's policy and that his YouTube channel was a conflict of interest, though his written separation notice did not specify a reason for his dismissal. Bernal said he'd previously been approached by managers after posting a video in March 2021 that showed a number of close calls with pedestrians and cyclists. While using the FSD beta software, the video has more than 250,000 views and was shared widely on social networks like Twitter. Bernal said that after posting the video, a manager from my autopilot team tried to dissuade me from posting any negative or critical content in the future that involved FSD beta. They held a video conference with me but never put anything in writing. And they basically fired him. They got rid of him. They said, sorry bro, your time here is over. You posted
Sorry,
a
bro.
video talking about how bad the AI is, and you're out of here. Which I strongly disagree that decision. I think being able to show the world what's wrong, what to be cautious of, how to be prepared
Yeah, it's
for
all in
any
the way how
scenario.
you present today.
And considering that it's also a beta software,
Yeah.
you know, it has room for having problems,
Yeah.
and you're exposing the car to those problems so that you can repair them. But at the same time, the average consumer watches a video of a Tesla hitting a pedestrian. They don't know what beta software is. They don't know that it's being tested only by 60,000 drivers across the world. They don't know. So they assume that Tesla cannot handle the self-driving mechanism.
Yeah, we're already concerned about it, remember?
Exactly. But firing him sets a very negative sentiment because it means that Tesla actively doesn't want this information getting out, which means don't have a beta platform. Don't allow people to do what they're doing. And definitely don't fire your employee for being passionate about your cars to the point where he shows everyone everything. I think it's unfair dismissal. Time will tell. But I sure as hell know that if I owned a company and someone was openly showing all my weak points, I'd probably be inclined to want to remove them. But ultimately, in someone like Tesla's case, I think it actually benefits them to have people that are talking about the bad stuff,
so
not
you
just
would actually
the good
hear
stuff.
him out, and
So it's not just sunshine and rainbows the whole time. You step into a Tesla, you must actually step into a Tesla cautiously. This doesn't mean it's an opportunity for you to lay back, eat your Chinese food in the back seat of your car while there's no passenger or driver.
I wanted to do that, but it's not. Listen, I can't even get an Uber, so I don't.
The only good thing about being able to have a self-driving car is if you don't like driving, then you don't have to make small talk with the Uber.
I would much rather just make small talk.
I'd rather make
Uber
small talk
instead of crashing into a wall and then the thing is burning for like 2 years.
Trying to adopt it as an artificial sun.
I just like I said to you so many times before, there should be a override button where you can take over. If you feel unsafe.
I think there definitely is, and I think it's as soon as you engage the steering wheel. But people take chances. And
you just want to chill in the back seat and hope and trust that this car knows 100% where it's going. And I don't even know how it avoids accidents, because you can't pre-plan an accident that somebody's going to drive in front of you. So what do you do then?
Smart technology has to deal with it. Even if
there's a sensor, you and your Chinese food will end up on the dashboard. that thing's got to stop so quickly.
I think I could see in the future, someone's talking about how they crashed their Tesla. They're like, I woke up and it was crashed. Oh, who was driving? No one was driving. I was just napping in the back seat and I woke up and we were crashed. That doesn't make sense. But you have to be cautious about it. We're not in 10, 20, 50 years in the future just all of a sudden. I think being able to show people that these things still make mistakes makes you cautious, and cautious drivers are careful, and careful drivers don't get in accidents.
But Kaine, that's on the ground. I mean, I thought by now, or at least soon, we would have flying cars.
There is.
But can you imagine how hectic that's going to be?
There is flying cars. It's just not very practical.
No.
It's like you need 2 lanes.
Yeah.
You need to drive in the.
But what if there's an accident? What if somebody crashes into your bedroom one night? I wouldn't feel safe.
Plane.
Yeah, you never know who's going to crash into your house.
Yeah, no. I think
I don't
places
like
New York, that's a bit dodgy.
Keep them on the ground.
Yeah. But in Neisner, I mean, what are you going to crash into? Just don't go lower than 2 stories. It's not many things to hit.
Everybody's got to go into the lagoon. I'm telling you right now. They're already doing it with their own cars. Oh my gosh, and that's a wrap again for another week on techPLUS. Kaine, thank you so much. It's been another insightful week.
Absolutely. No, it's been a great week of tech. Looking forward to next week. We've got a lot of moving stories that I'm very interested in following, and looking forward to next week. Thanks so much to all of our listeners for listening in.
And Kaine, enjoy the rest of your week and your weekend.
You too, Eon.
Until next time.
Till next time.